Welcome. What's... I never know. Okay. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the show of Wide Flank New Cool. This is the podcast by Sean and Alon, where Sean and Alon bring each other, each of us brings a topic that we haven't shared with the other before recording that's about games or play, and it's new or it's cool. And those are loose. It's loose. But it's either new to us or cool to us. And that's the intro of the show. What's up, Alon? How are you doing?
I'm good, dude. I think you did a great job. You did a hell of a job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I always struggle with the intros. We don't keep in me freaking out and laughing because that's unprofessional. But
I realize I usually say like welcome or like okay, and when I say okay on my soccer podcast too.
Okay,
so I'm just a fucking soundboard of myself at this point,
and that's just the start. Just welcome
to another
welcome to another Wifelink Dev Talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to another Wifelink New Cool.
Well, let's get ready to rumble.
Sunday. Come on down to the Wide Flank Discord if you want to talk to us face to face, mano a mano. Come on down to the Wide Flank Patreon if you want to pay us. Coin. I couldn't think of a mano a mano. Bitcoin. We accept Bitcoin now.
Subscribe. You get extra episodes. You get the high council privileges of submitting a game for a mini club that might get chosen for a game club.
Yeah.
And one day we'll have enough Patreon money where we'll do a episode in studio.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's like kind of the goal.
Just being together in one room, slapping each other on the chest, saying stop.
No, you stop. Yeah,
no, you
exactly.
Stop.
Yeah. So leave us a review on the thing that you listen on. Tell a friend.
Yes.
And let's kick it off.
All right. So welcome to
welcome to New Cool.
Welcome to Wide Flank New Cool. What's up, Alon?
What's up, gamers?
Well, you're first this week. What's your topic?
Man, the energy is so loosey and so goosey.
Look, it's hot.
It's hot. And we're tired. And it's Friday.
It's May 2nd. We don't
record on Fridays.
Yeah, this is all pertinent.
Everything's fucked up. All right, my topic is the first American feature-length live-action film based on a video game.
Are we talking about... Can I get... It's not The Wizard, because The Wizard isn't based on a game.
Not The Wizard.
It's not Super Mario Brothers, the movie, because... Is it Super Mario Brothers with John Leguizamo?
Yes,
and
it is.
Bob
dude.
Hoskins?
Yes, it is, dude.
Dennis Hopper, dude.
Directed by husband and wife team Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel. Grossed 38 mil on a budget of 50-ish mil. On a lot of lists of the worst films ever made.
Oh, that's cool.
No Nintendo licensed film based on Super Mario until the one that was just released 2 years ago.
Sure.
The animated one. Yeah, I was struggling with a topic and I was like, how about if I just throw on a movie of the most iconic video game character to ever exist? Because I just rewatched it, but I had barely any memory of this movie. It came out when I was like 7, and I just remember like seeing it kind of like, I just remember almost a still image of like a grimy underground world or something, but I didn't remember anything from the movie.
Our rhythm is it's hot.
No, it's good.
It's much the same for me, of just like flashes of images that feel like dreams from childhood, basically.
Yeah. But have you rewatched it?
Yeah, a few months ago, basically.
Seriously?
Pretty fresh. Yeah. I forgot what I thought.
Did you love it?
I've had a nice time watching it. It's definitely a strange movie, you know, but it's very singular.
Yeah.
The production design is
sick.
Thick.
Yeah.
It's
Thick and sick.
Yeah. So you just watched it though in preparation for
I just watched it
podcast.
this morning.
Okay.
Well,
What'd you
mostly
think?
last night, but this morning, I surprisingly pretty good. Good is a weird word to use because I understand the perspective of all of the reviewers who said this is like the worst movie ever in 1993 when it came out.
Right.
Just because it's so not Mario and it's so weird and like the plot is bizarro and it's like I thought this was going to be a kid movie and it's a grimy adult movie and it's like, what were you going to say?
Yeah, no, it's like it has something to do with like expectations or something.
Yeah.
Like, because like you either know what Mario is going into it in 1993 and you're like, this ain't my Mario, or you're going to see a feature film and you're like, what is this world that I've been dropped into?
Yeah.
Because it's like a fantasy film basically, but it's a fantasy film with like really specific rules. Of how the world works, and the rules are like really confusing,
really insane, and also like basically, very very little to do with the game. And you find out later when you're researching it, like I did, that it was meant to be sort of a prequel to the game.
Oh,
okay. The one of the many kernel ideas, because the script was rewritten like 9 times. It was like production hell on this movie.
Yes.
But one of the kernel ideas was like, this is the real story that some Japanese businessmen stumbled upon and then made the Mario games.
One more time?
Like the things that happen in the movie, which are completely fucking insane,
were discovered by Japanese businessmen.
Yes. And then they were like, let's make a video game out of that. And they made Super Mario World. Which
isn't really telegraphed in the film itself, except
at all.
There's a little
at the end.
Yeah, are we allowed to spoil Super Mario Brothers the movie?
Yes, dude. It came out there's 32 years ago and it's fucked up and weird. Yeah.
There's a post-credit scene with just like a Japanese man in a suit, and it's like, we should make a video game.
Yeah, and they're not even talking to Mario and Luigi. They're talking to fucking Spike and Iggy or whatever, the Koopa
there's
brothers.
A bunch of corny jokes, and I forget whether it's Iggy or Spike, but it's played by what's his name? Sorry, I'm
Fisher
looking this
Stevens.
Up. It's Fisher Stevens, dude. Yeah,
who I think of as the Plague from Hackers.
Sure,
which came out only 2 years later, and as soon as he popped on the screen, he has like 4 pigtails. He's totally cyberpunk and crazy. And I was like, oh, that's the Plague. Someone saw this, is like, that's the fucking Plague.
And I will say, like, the actors, there aren't any like real significant. I think I'm not gonna try. I just want to say I love the actors in the film. Like basically everyone.
Yes.
I think Bob Hoskins was famously like drunk on set a lot, which
him and John Leguizamo were drinking before, during, and after takes.
Yeah,
because they just knew it was like so bad and it was so dysfunctional and toxic on set. They were just drinking their way through it.
And I would have to imagine it's more about the dysfunction of the production than like, this script is stupid. It's not like, how could I ever get into being this? It's more like, because it is like a famously like difficult production.
Yeah,
like that's what I know of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically a world famous train wreck of an operation. And like after shooting, before they even began the editing process, there was huge articles in all the big LA like newspapers or whatever that had quotes from cast members being like, this is a fucking disaster. I made the biggest mistake of my career. This is a total piece of shit. Worst movie of all time. And so they just like, it was just, it was like so poorly run that there was almost no chance of success, I think. And I get it. But then again, watching it now, I found it kind of refreshing. I was like, it's kind of cool. Like, it looks kind of cool. It's got all these like milestones of special effects, like visual effects people kind of like consider this movie iconic in history. Yeah, because I was, one of the things I watched was like, one of those YouTube videos. It's like visual effects artists react to Super Mario Bros.
Sure.
But it's the first film to use the Kodak scanner, basically, which is now industry standard for digitizing film. First movie to use Flame, which is like the OG compositing program, which is also completely industry standard. And it's one of the first movies that had logarithmic footage. So they had to invent what is now a LUT, which is in every video editing software, just to make it look normal, because it looked all weird and washed out. I don't know, the way they were wording it in this video, I'll link to the video, is like it's basically the birth of the full industry of digital visual effects all in one movie.
That we know
it's the foundation of modern visual effects is all that movie.
Well, I'm glad I let you just go off about it, because like what my mind jumps to when I think about like the visuals of this movie is like how distinct the like physical production value is. Like the puppetry, the set design, like, because there's like so many strange puppets. Like they tend to represent like characters from the Mario world with puppets, or it's actors, and like the actors are like interpretations. Like Dennis Hopper plays Bowser, but he's just like a businessman with slick hair
and a like, lizard's tongue.
Yeah, exactly. And but when I think about visual effects in this movie, my mind immediately jumps to the Yoshi puppet.
Oh my god, yeah.
And just like the ever presence of like goop in the movie.
Yes. There's mushroom. It's the Mushroom Kingdom, and their interpretation of the Mushroom Kingdom is everything's covered in like dripping fungus slime.
Yeah, and like a ball, like a wet ball, like emerges from like an egg sac, and that's the king or whatever.
Yeah,
and the movie has some amount of fun with that. But I think I'm gonna try to like psychoanalyze like what is off-putting about the movie to people, because you're watching it and it is like there's fine performances, there's fine production value, but it's like the tone is kind of like strange and inconsistent. Like it's not. I mean, it's strange.
I mean,
but like that's underselling it. Like
I think it makes sense after the fact. Yeah, inconsistent is kind of a key word. I think it makes sense after the fact that you hear that there were 9 different scriptwriters who rewrote and redrafted this film. The directors, this husband and wife couple, had never really, they did one feature film before this. They were just doing music videos and Max Headroom before this. And that's kind of part of why they were chosen, because they were able to do all these crazy digital effects before anyone else. They kind of like pioneered a lot of stuff. And they weren't even allowed in the editing room. They got locked out of their own editing room because of that article or articles that came out panning the movie. Nintendo and Disney and other people were just like, get the fuck away from this project.
We're just to get this under control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they kept hiring like the final 3 writers, which I think are credited as like the writers, were brought in without the directors knowing to rewrite the script under their noses. And then when everyone showed up for shoot, they just handed the actors these brand new scripts, which are not the ones that they prepared for and not the ones that they signed up to do. And we're just like, here's the script. And the directors are just like, what is happening?
Smash cut to like, and that's the type of thing that like causes an actor to like lose so much faith in the project that they're like, I'm fucking stressed. I can't engage. I'm going to like drink. And because it's this, the narrative is like more or less straightforward. The narrative beats of it. Like they're bizarre, but it's like 2 plumbers from Brooklyn get sucked into a magic world and have to help, and they do, and that's the like it's there's like a princess like it's
because like if you think of just what's the narrative of like 1990 era Super Mario, right? It's like Mario saves the princess. That's it. There's nothing else.
There's a man wearing the clothing that we recognize as suspenders, going through a strange place to find a woman.
Yes, that's
from a dinosaur.
And so I really respected the fact that they made this fucking
pretty direct,
crazy thing based off of just that. Because they could have just made, well, I didn't see the recent one, the 2023 Super Mario's, but all the reviews I saw were just like, it's really lame and it's the exact story that you think it is, and it's just for kids and it's stupid. And I was just like, that easily could have been what they made. It's just like the most straightforward sort of kids movie of saving the princess, and I love that they just went crazy.
Maybe that's like part of the question, because it's like I struggle with like what people's perspective on the movie is, because it's like at that time, like, does anyone care what like the reality of the like, not the reality as rendered in this film, but just like, does anyone care about like, where I want Mario to be in a bright, sunny place jumping on Goombas. That's not my Mario. It's like, who gives a shit? And that's like, maybe that like baked in, like, video game narratives weren't at a place where anybody had like opinions about them, really, that were like especially sophisticated, that like, that's maybe like a gap in development that was just filled in by people who conceived of Max Headroom, you know? Like, it's like, so it's not, I don't think the big thing with this movie is that's not my Mario. I think the big thing is, what the fuck is this? Just like, because you look at it and it's like, oh, it's an adaptation of Mario. Right. Sure. There's Goombas in it. There's a princess in it. Like, it's defamiliarized, but it is pretty just like the names of the things are the same. But like the thing that's disorienting is just like, and the thing that's also cool about it is like how singular and specific it is. Exactly. And like, it just is this entire, there's nothing else like it, really. There's
nothing like it.
Like,
and they
maybe some John Carpenter movies, production wise, like it's visually, like it's gross looking. Visually, it's dark.
I think there's a lot of things like it in that same era.
Sure. Yeah.
Total Recall, Blade Runner, Fifth Element, Judge Dredd and shit like that is all kind of the same cyberpunk universe. And it was even shot in this. Yeah, it was even shot in the same like shut down concrete plant as like the ending of Terminator 2.
I was gonna say, it looks
stuff.
Like Terminator. Yeah.
Dude, and they have the same production designer of Blade Runner.
Exactly. And
they brought in the creature designer from Coppola's Dracula.
Oh,
like, it's just like,
yeah, dude.
It ticks a lot of boxes where I'm like,
so much talent.
This is gonna be so sick. And then what actually happened is like some movie that got rewritten 9 times and edited by people who had nothing to do with the project. And it's like, what is this?
And I think like that's where like all the artistry is like firing off. Like the artistry is fine. It's more about like the final assembly of like tone and script and even music. Because I think when I was watching it, the first red flag was like a music cue early in the movie. It's like, come on, Luigi, we gotta go, and it's it's got this like really
his
generic
accent.
Like the accents are fun.
It's fucking insane. Yeah.
It plays like a Mrs. Doubtfire-esque music cue of just like 1993 like madcap family comedy music, like
it's
like
so it's out of place.
It feels, and that's I think that's significant, that like the musical identity of the movie like stinks ass. Mario, and I'm not even gonna be like Mario, like Mario's music is so good. It's just like, they didn't even consider the musical identity of Mario. It was just like, this is a feature film that's a madcap adventure. So as thoughtful as like the production designers were being, as thoughtful as the like, again, the actors are like basically showing up. It's Fisher Stevens. It's friggin'
Leguizamo.
It's Leguizamo and Hoskins are pros. You know, like even if I don't like that they're drinking, like that's sad.
No, obviously it's fucked, but
they
Hopper's
are pros.
A pro. Samantha Mathis is great.
She's solid.
Like,
I wanted to also make sure that we talk about the date scene, because the first third of the movie is about like setting up romance between Luigi and this young woman, and Mario has this like Italian girlfriend who's just like, Mario, I love the necklace you've got.
Straight out of My Cousin Vinny, like the most stereotypical shit. My god,
it's and that's the shit that is like more overtly off-putting to me. All the like gonzo production stuff is just like, oh, this is what this movie is. The weirder aspects of the movie are like let's try to make a move. Let's make like a accessible family film out of this pile of bizarre
there's
choices.
There's so much stuff clashing, and that it never got like sort of resolved in any sort of way that makes any sort of sense. Like, I was looking up some stuff. There's like movie theaters in the background when you're in Dino Hatton, which is like where the whole movie takes place. They're just porno movie theaters. There's one in Dino Hatton that just says XXX, my life as a teenage mammal. And it's just like, what is going on here?
How did nobody? Yeah. Like,
how many parents took their kids and left
midway
30 minutes into the movie?
Well,
like,
it's the same era as this has turned into a movie podcast, but it's the same era as Batman Returns as well. Because when you think about production design scaring families, you also think Batman Returns, which is like Tim Burton going buck wild.
That was actually a big touchstone for them in pre-production.
Sure,
because Tim Burton's Batman adaptation was like, this is the mega successful version of what we're trying to do, right? So he took Adam West Batman and made it like dark and weird.
Yeah.
And it was the 5th highest grossing film of all time when it came out.
So they were like, we're gonna make
Mario
and make him
fucked
dark
up Mario. Yeah, that like literally like that was like part of the pitch, like Blade Runner Mario or like whatever stuff like that. And
sure,
Jesus Christ, it just did not work. And there were all these funny stories about like people they tried to get like Harold Ramis to direct it. They tried to get Danny DeVito as Mario. They tried to get Schwarzenegger as Bowser. Like all of these people passed because there was like no script and no one knew who these directors were.
They could see from a mile away, like this is a mess.
It was a complete disaster. I mean, Hoskins, this quote is like famous because it's in every article, but it's like Super Mario Bros. It was a fucking nightmare. The whole experience was a nightmare. It had a husband and wife team directing whose arrogance had been mistaken for talent. After so many weeks, their own agent told them to get off the set. Fucking nightmare. Fucking idiots.
Fucking nightmare. Yeah, and there's also a famous clip of someone being like, what's the biggest mistake of your career? And it's just like a aged Bob Hoskins just going, Super Mario Bros. Like, it's like, this is the lore of the film.
It's crazy.
It's famously bad. I don't think it's like been reclaimed really. I just think like certain film production freaks are like, the production design is sick because like you look at it and like
and the effects and the effects
and like the legacy of the effects. But yeah, as like a feature film, it doesn't work the way a movie does.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. One of my big. Oh, go ahead. Finish.
I was just gonna say, like, I think a few years ago there was like some edit dumped to archive.org.
Oh yeah,
that is like stitched together that like makes it more coherent, which like I'm sure it does.
It's like 20 minutes longer, and it includes Fisher Stevens and the other Koopa rapping in part of it. That's a real scene.
Okay.
That was added. Like they needed that scene.
And also, those two guys as comic relief, like I love Fisher Stevens. He shows up for the stupid comic relief role, but like even that feels like kind of out of place in this film. That feels less out of place in this film than the woman that Mario dances. I don't even know how to describe this
bouncer.
Woman.
Yeah,
it's like
so
this
weird.
This like large woman in red who's like it's like overtly sexual with Bob Hoskins.
100%.
But she feels like she makes sense in the production that they're making. Fisher Stevens being comedy relief feels more like Mrs. Doubtfire music cue of like. Yeah. How do we make this fun for the kids?
Ironically, that's like kind of what they were competing with when this movie came out.
Mrs. Doubtfire?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Literally.
And they flopped majorly, and Mrs. Doubtfire was a huge success. But I don't know, kind of where I ended my research, or like, I mean, one of the things I was kind of thinking about is like, because going in, I was like, okay, I barely remember this movie, but all I've ever heard is that it's like the worst movie of all time. And that's kind of what I was expecting. And it was way better than that. In like funny, stupid ways. It wasn't like good, but it was like watchable.
It was
interesting.
Like, interesting.
It's
and fun like, to look at.
Weird and fun to look at and funny. Like there's a lot of like funny, weird things. And it's just, I was just like thinking about how shit like this will just never get made again. You know, like the idea of like
Sure.
a major blockbuster being handed to someone who's only ever done like a few music videos and max headroom
Yeah.
and being like, go wild.
Go nuts.
Nintendo being like, you have complete creative control. We don't care what you do. Like,
well, yeah.
it's never going to happen again.
I think that's also part of the legacy of the film too, that it's like Nintendo like did not even bother trying to adapt like anything into video like for 30, 40 years after the production of this film.
Yep.
And like, opinions notwithstanding about the super. Can I run my mouth about the new Super Mario Bros. Movie a little bit?
I haven't seen it, so go for it.
It is what it is. It's a animated film produced by Illumination Studios, who make like the Minions movies.
Sounds
so it's
about
like
right.
Mario Minions movie, and like Nintendo is very involved and signing off on everything. Like that's what it is.
That sounds exactly what I expected.
Which honestly, it's fine. Like it kind of sucks. It's kind of good. Who cares? And like I think there is like a glib conclusion to draw of like, I'll take fucked up and interesting production design over middle of the road IP trash any day. But like who cares?
That is kind of my conclusion, to be honest. So I didn't realize I was being so glib. But that is kind of my conclusion. It's just like I would rather watch something creative and original and fucking weird and fucked up than just like close to AI trash, like close to just like vanilla automated safe story bullshit with just enough nuggets from the game to be like, oh yeah, fucking Koopa or whatever, and you know, that is what it is.
It's and I don't mean to like shit on your take. I think it's just like it taps into like broader ideas I have about like expectations of modern movies, where it's like this shit's been busted for. It's not like I can't conceive of a better way. We love Anora. We love Challengers. Did you like Challengers?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Pretty good. It's not that like I think movies are over or whatever, but it's this kind of movie is like well over.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And I'm not, and it's not like I want a vision. Like, it's not like I'm pining for like a Marvel movie with more of a perspective. It's like, who fucking cares? Like, just give someone else some money to make something else that's original. Mickey 17's an adaptation, but whatever. Hi, Alon.
Yeah. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I mean, it's kind of just me reading reviews of the new one, which were mostly I'm obviously paraphrasing. We're mostly just like there was one quote that was literally Bowser wants to kidnap Peach and marry her because she's beautiful and cool. No further characterization or plot points required. And that was just the whole review of the movie. Like, it was just like you could predict everything that's going to happen in the movie. It is made for kids entirely. You know, it is made to promote Nintendo and promote Mario Kart and sell units.
That alone, like in the new movie, there's like Mario Kart is like a huge like component of the film, which is like in the one hand surprising because it's like, why would you make a movie about Mario Kart? Like, who cares? On the other hand, it's like, why wouldn't you put Mario Kart in a Mario advertisement movie?
It's the thing that everyone plays and likes or whatever, right?
Yeah, so, but you hear stories, whatever. This is about the old one. This isn't about the new one.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just happy to sit back and enjoy this. And maybe it's like, I was thinking even it might just come with sort of like age. Like, I've seen enough cookie cutter movies now that I'm like, I love a fucked up, bad, weird movie. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just want something different at this point.
I was going to say, it's like the feeling of like, it's what you were saying before, that like, this will never happen again.
This will just never happen again.
A $50 million like bizarre adaptation of something you basically know about.
Something like, as like famous and prevalent as like SNES Super Mario World. Like the most famous thing in the planet. You know, famously they were like, saying how like this can't fail. Like he's the new Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. That was like the vibe in
And
Hollywood.
it
lost like millions and is on every
It
list
was-
of the worst movie ever. Yeah.
and it was a 50 million production, and it brought in, you said 38.
Something, yeah. I mean, the numbers are rough because
So,
they're
yeah.
hiding how bad it did. Most people suspect.
The common knowledge is you double it for marketing. So
Right.
the movie roughly lost $60 million.
Yeah, probably, probably, yeah.
And
Also, the
that's the
Twin
legacy.
Towers get evaporated in this movie.
Oof.
Rough one,
Sad.
rough, sad, bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
The
Brooklyn
Super Bowl.
accent. Brooklyn. It starts with Brooklyn 65 million years ago. I was like, what the fuck is this? It's so
It's
funny.
awesome. It's yeah.
awesome.
Fully recommended.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, Bob Hoskins is English. Did you know that?
Yeah, it did. But he puts it on. He's just, hey, Luigi.
He puts on the most ridiculous
I gotta get out
Brooklyn
of here.
accent you've ever heard. Yeah.
It's
All right.
yeah.
Sean,
Beautiful film.
that's all I got. What is
right.
your topic?
My new I'm all F. I'm hot. My new cool topic is ball. Stick with
Ball
me.
is life.
Ball is life. A game of patience, a game of action, a game of timing, a game of passion. So a few years ago, Nintendo released two small devices called Game & Watch. Onto one of these devices, they packed The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and Zelda Link's Awakening. This one rests beside my bed as a clock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But before they released that one, they released one featuring Super Mario Brothers. And so,
Look at how are we both on this? That's crazy.
Nintendo casts a long shadow.
Yeah.
It features Super Mario Brothers and Japanese Super Mario Brothers 2, and that one rests upon my toilet, which I observe only because like these are life devices. They're portable gaming devices. They're devices I associate with sleeping and waking, defecating and urinating. They're devices you like bring with you into your life. They're portable video games.
Okay.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. These devices, the ones I'm describing, they are much like the modern Mario film. They're novelty promotional objects for the toy company Nintendo. The Mario one was released in November of 2020. Remember that? 2020? And the Zelda one was released in November of 2021, but long before that, in April of 1980.
Whoa.
At the time of recording, we just passed its 45th anniversary.
Oh.
Nintendo would introduce the Game & Watch and release its first handheld video game, Ball. You with me?
I mean, I'm very intrigued. What is it?
So, Alon, as a kid of the 90s, you ever play any of those like Tiger Electronics LCD games?
Yes, 100%.
With, like, the burned in images and black ink that just...
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you have one?
I could picture it. I don't think I ever owned one. I don't think I ever owned any handhelds, actually, but I remember them, and I've played them, and I've held them, and yeah, they came out with like a movie would come out, and there'd be Space Jam handheld, or like shit like that,
and it would be like a little Michael Jordan, and like ball going up towards hoop.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of. Tecmo Bowl had one.
There's a million of them.
Yeah.
So you sort of are already familiar with what the format of the Game & Watch is, because that's more or less what a Game & Watch is. It's like an LCD screen with... I didn't get to... we're not going to be talking about like the schematics and specific... Because it got really into numbers and shit in my research, and I was just like, this is going to be a
too numbery. Yeah.
But so I'm going to now read a bunch of quotes from Gunpei Yokoi, okay?
Okay.
Gunpei Yokoi is the dearly departed designer of the Game Boy. And he was a man, quote, hired by Nintendo in 1965 to maintain the assembly line machines used to manufacture its Hanafuda cards.
Whoa.
I take it you don't know what a Hanafuda card is.
I do not know.
It's a card game, and Nintendo used to produce them. The point is, Gunpei Yokoi recounted the following. While riding the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train, I saw the salarymen trying to pass the time by fiddling with their calculators, and thought to myself, what about a small game console you could kill time with? At the time, I didn't consider it an especially amazing idea on its own, so I just put it in the back of my mind where I could mull it over.
Haha.
And then sometime later, I've always loved cars, and at that time, I owned a used import car, one with the steering wheel on the left side. Back then, the president of Nintendo, Hiroshi Yamauchi, used a Cadillac as the company vehicle. One day, his chauffeur got sick with a cold and couldn't come in. The president had a meeting at the Osaka Plaza Hotel, but there wasn't anyone who knew how to drive a car with the left side steering wheel, except me. So the personnel department head came over to me and said, I'm very sorry to ask this, Yokoi, but would you mind being the president's driver just for today? So while we were driving, I thought I should take the opportunity to talk about work, and I related my story to the president about seeing the salarymen on the Shinkansen killing time with their calculators. I think it could be really interesting if we made a little calculator-sized game console. I think a slim, small game device like this would allow even salarymen like us to play games discreetly.
This is such a movie, like,
right?
Like, oh, I finally got the boss cornered and I get to pitch my great idea.
And in my research, I saw like multiple translations of this, and it's like, this is the lore that like the man developed for himself.
That makes more sense.
But like, he was also like he also was a brilliant designer. A week later, Yokoi gets called into Yamauchi's office. The boss says, you wanted to make a calculator-sized game machine. Sharp's good at that, so I called them over. It turned out that at the meeting I'd driven him to, the boss ended up sitting next to Akira Saiki, president of Sharp, the world's biggest manufacturer of calculators, and he talked to him about calculator-sized games. The last thing I want to read about the development of the hardware itself, and then we'll get into the ball, When humans are in a seated position, they naturally hold their hands in front of them. I believed something you could play in that posture would be best. Given those conditions, playing with your thumbs was going to be the only option.
It's just phenomenal to think of a time where they didn't know holding the thing with and playing with your thumbs is obviously optimal, and that's
ideal.
And that's all anyone would ever want to do. Yeah.
Well, because before this, like, Nintendo had started experimenting with like video based games. Like they had this thing called like TV Game 6 that was like more or less Pong, but like they helped design it and like collaborated. Cool. But yeah, this is a time when like literally the interfaces of gaming, like it has to be broken down into playing with your thumbs would be best.
Yeah.
Because it's
all sitting and they're like, where's your hand at this point? They're like,
my hands are here.
My thumbs are up and my hands here. So I could grab with them like a claw machine and then use my thumbs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's just like a fascinating bit of like material the design of like just the interface itself is.
Yeah.
But like my topic really isn't about the Game & Watch, of which there's a million things you could say about the Game Watch. It was like a long running thing. Eagle-eared Super Smash Brothers fans will recognize the character Mr. Game & Watch. I take it Alon does not. But we're not here to talk about Game & Watches.
This dude.
Yeah. Even to a layman like Alon.
Yeah.
It is like it's Nintendo's first mascot.
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Because 1980 is a few years before Donkey Kong, so this predates Mario.
Wow, look at that. Yeah.
So
when Mario was just called the Jumper Guy or something.
Jumpman. Alongside the hardware itself, a game called Ball was designed. With the idea being that this was the whole of the product, a handheld game device called Ball. Like that was the idea. Making a thing with a game on it that you can play as a secret businessman without looking like a child.
It has to be a secret. It's so good.
It's and there's like
everyone's
more
like
quotes
on the train hiding playing ball.
There's a bunch of quotes that I didn't include in my what I'm reading to you today that are like, a grown man would not want to be seen playing with a big gaming device. So, like, it's just like, okay.
So good.
But yeah, I thought this is the last Yokoi quote. I thought no further than the game we were making at the time, Ball. And neither shall we. The topic is Ball, not Game & Watch. So, Alon, I bet you're wondering, what the heck is Ball?
Tell me more.
Okay. So Ball it's more or less, so it's an LCD based game. What you see is what you get. You can see sort of ghost like images of every single interactive component of the game, including like the fail states. The little word, the word crush can be seen in the lower left of the corner. Cause like if you drop the ball, which I'll get to, it like says crush. So like you're holding this object and black, it's glass and it's black objects moving together, and the black objects are rendered as characters and playthings. And the concept of the game is it's more or less a juggling game.
Oh,
it's
okay.
It's a game where you're a person standing with your arms to the side of you, and there are balls moving through the air at varying speeds and varying lengths of arc, because there's 3 different places where the ball can be in. So there's like 3 planets orbiting the sun.
Yeah.
And so the gameplay, and there's only 2 buttons on the thing. It's left and right. So you're moving.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You're moving your hands back and forth to like juggle the balls and catch them.
Predecessor to like breakers, almost like those kind of breaker games where you bounce the ball off a paddle on the bottom and break the bricks.
Kind of a similar like
because like you're just moving left, right to catch the balls, basically.
Yeah, right? It's I would say Breakout is like that's far more. Breaker games. That's like a far more like involved version. Far more kinetic. Like this is like there are literally like 20 possible images going on, and like 15 of them are the ball moving, and like 6 are your hands, and like that is what you see is what you get. And so it's a game where, because the balls, it's about how the balls are moving back and forth between the juggler's hands, and when you start the game, it's super slow. It's like slow to the point of like, what the hell am I doing?
Boring.
It hits boring.
Yeah.
And the ball is just like slowly going. It's just and you catch it.
I can imagine this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the modern gamer with their Fortnite and their Oblivion remasters is going to take one look at this and say, no, this is like a rock. I would have more fun with a rock.
I build my base in Fortnite, get a kill, grab my Game & Watch, catch the next ball, put it down, build another base, kill another guy. Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea for a game. But the real trick of the game is how it builds in momentum, because as quote boring as the intro of the game is, over time, and there's 2 modes of the game, one of which is you're juggling 2 balls, one of which you're juggling 3. And so the 3 one is automatically a little more complicated. And even when at the most basic levels, your mind is having to work through like which ball is going to land first. And you can like sort of see that they're moving at different speeds. And so you have to sort of make choices of like, oh, I got to go like, like catch it, or like be like,
Dude, so this reminds me of what I was talking about with elevator action on Mini Club and like Tapper, right? It's like, I mean, those games are obviously way more complicated, but just seeing taking in the full screen of information at once and having to make the split-second decision of like, I gotta go that ball, and do it like time it,
It's like maybe slowly happening, but like you have to be there at the critical moment of play. But the real trick of Ball, I feel, is like how the game increases in momentum, because like the longer you play, the faster the balls go. And so at a certain point, like you have to lock, like it goes from being like pretty boring to you have to lock in to play it at all, because the balls are moving so fast that you're just like, and like achieving that state, having the pace. I don't want to say the conclusion of my thing just yet, but that's you got a good image of Ball.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, it sounds great.
Pretty sweet, right?
Yeah. Flow state.
Exactly. Zen. Again, I'm hinting at my conclusion. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of my sections. Here's the secret. The Mario Game & Watch, the one that's a promotional object and has like a full color screen and emulates NES Famicom games on it, and came out during the pandemic when everybody was freaking out about their past and their future. The Mario Game & Watch, in addition to those earlier full fat Mario games, it features an interpolation of ball on it. Because the form factor of this object is much similar to the form. It's like almost the exact same form factor. And that's the point. It's this like novelty throwback device. But the game that's on the Mario one, it is the same game design as the old ball, only the avatar has Mario's head because we're having fun with Mario. And so after years of playing different iterations of ball, it would show up as like a secret game in the Game Boy camera. Did you have one of those?
No, I never had a Game Boy, but I know about it. Yeah, that's cool.
It showed up in there in the secret way. It was a game that like I was always familiar with, but like regarded as like that game's fucking boring. It's not fun. It's a trifle.
And you can imagine kids just being like, that's what games were like, and that sucks. And I'm gonna go play my game now.
I'm gonna go play Minecraft.
Literally.
Bye.
Roblox
Ball, 3D ball. It's called volleyball.
There we go.
So after years of just like sort of just being like, yeah, it's early game design, like it's quaint. I finally learned to love the design of ball over the past few months. So, and this is why I described it as a game that like is on top of my toilet, because over the past few months I would go to the bathroom, and while I was going number 1 or number 2, I would pick up my little Game & Watch and I would play like some amount of ball. You know, I think that's a fundamentally different experience from like being trapped on the train and being like, this is the only thing I can do. Although I can sort of imagine that being exciting too. Like if it's like, I have to focus on this, like, I don't know. I feel like
anything
the momentum
that keeps you in the present like that.
Just present.
And that present flow state makes time go by fast and makes you forget about other anxieties about going to work or depression about going to work tomorrow, or you know, like whatever it is. Like it's
regret about having gone to work yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I could see the escapism of ball.
Yeah, it's and I think like the actual wild thing about it is like how it demands that you focus on it even when it's like very, very slow. Like it's very easy to imagine just like playing it and being like, I'm thinking of a million different things. But I'll tell you this much: when you're playing it, if you're thinking about something else, you're gonna mess up.
You're gonna drop the ball.
So after years, like, so I like incrementally played it, just like which, you know, kind of breaks it, but like it was my own little version of it. And it's when I started to really see like, oh, when this thing speeds up, it becomes like a different game. So like, it started to be that when I would inevitably lose, because at a certain point it gets so fast that you're just like, I can't do it, like, and then it drops. When I would restart a new game and it was super slow, it was this experience of like, here we go. And it's like this, like, it just like builds and builds and builds and builds. So I already described like it's very much about like parsing the visual language of like which ball is going to land first. But really it summons you already nailed it by saying like it's a game that demands presence. It's a game that like you feel like you can get into a flow state with, and it's a game that truly like it feels like a zen, like if you're able to focus on it and like really focus on it, it's like more zen like than a lot of video games are, because you are focused on it and yet you're only doing just enough and like you're thinking about it while you're playing it.
There's a lot of games that are very much not like this, but there's something about, I don't know what it is, fast paced and precise, like requiring these sort of like animalistic traits or something like that.
Sure.
Of just, that's all you can do. Like
a Counter-Strike or an Unreal Tournament.
Right. And there's
Yeah.
games like that I play on my phone or whatever, where I'm trying to like listen to a podcast and then I die or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what they just said for the last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I can't do both. Like it's too demanding. Yeah.
Truly. Yeah. And this, on the one hand, it's when the game is starting out, like maybe you can be listening to your podcast.
Totally. That's how it starts.
Like you start the game and your mind is busy and you're like your monkey mind is like sort of going all over the place and you're just like, oh, the ball's moving so slow. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back to work. Like, but then like when it gets going, it's like you focus on it. I don't know if it's you choose to focus on it or if the game demands focus, but I think meaningfully it's like it's a relationship between those two things.
Right,
it is like an almost perfect like piece of play in that way. And like Yokoi himself called it like he calls it a masterpiece. You know? He's evaluating his own work, but like it is like this more or less like perfect arc of play.
He nailed what he was going for, you know? I mean, straight up.
It started with like a super mechanical goal of just like a secret game, but then it's like, what kind of game do you make for it? I'll talk about the other Game & Watch games a little bit, just because it's like interesting that like over time they would release like a lot more Game & Watch devices with different game designs. These are like single service things. It's not a Game Boy where you put a cartridge in. It's like a single object with one game on it.
Yeah,
and by the time that they were like in full production on these things, it's like they were designing like a game a month, basically.
Wow.
And like they're simple games, sure, but it's like they're designing, and like most of the games are just like move left or right to interface with thing, up, down, maybe an action button.
It's like you have an umbrella and you're blocking the rain. And it's like, okay,
exactly. Yeah. But there's like associated art with all of these games, and you can find maybe I'll link to it in the show notes. Maybe we'll link to it in the show notes. But like there's reference documentation of like, oh, this is like what the artist illustrated, and then they took that illustration and just literally rendered it on the LCD
that sounds
screen.
Really cool. Yeah, I
so
definitely want to see that. Yeah,
it is. Point being that it's like it was a super simple game design, but it was like it was designed, and like I don't even care about the fact that like it was a hit for Nintendo. You know, like I care about the fact that like it was basically summoned out of just like nowhere, out of life, and that like this 45 years later, you can like still internalize it and experience it, and like, and I want to connect it also back to it's I think of it as like a patience game, which we covered on the last episode of I covered on the last episode of New Cool.
So on the Solitaire.
Klondike
Solitaire.
And on the last episode of Wide Flank the Mini Club, we talked about Lock Digital, also a patience game. And I'm not trying to, make a big point about myself.
You're pushing for patience.
I'm pushing for patience. We all need to learn how to stop. And and I think as I get older, I'm just like more and more into these patience games where it's just like, this is what I'm doing. Most of it happens up here. Versus like when you're a kid, you're just like, I just want to run around a world. I just want to jump on a guy. I want to shoot a guy.
The difference, like you say, most of it happens up here, but it's different because at least for me, it's like if I'm in that flow state, I actually feel like nothing's happening up here. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like my brain is completely clear if I'm in like a flow state and trying really hard and playing some fast-paced game.
Auto-reacting.
Yeah, everything is just like connected. My body's connected to the game, and there's no brain activity, basically.
With the other version of that idea being like modern games that demand a lot of you, like reacting like a Fortnite. It's like you're thinking constantly, and it's like in your brain and in your hand. So it's like maybe there's something about like games. All games are just like in your brain and in your hand, or or in your mind and your body at the same time.
Right.
But there's something about these like patience games where it's like you take your hands off.
Yeah.
And you're like still playing it.
Yeah.
There's something about that feels like but But no, I hear what you're saying though too. I think it's like an interesting.
Yeah, it's a really specific, weird, interesting, like little. I don't know what to call it, but for me, it's almost more about like manipulating time or something. Where it's
sure.
like I
Patience.
can play a Counter-Strike game and it's 40 minutes long, but it sort of feels 40 minutes long because the peak moments, there's like peaks and valleys of like intense stuff happening or nothing happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like when I lock into like a flow state type of game or whatever, there like time just goes so fast and I come out of it. I'm like, whoa, what was that? And then I have
Where
to
have
like,
I been?
where have I
Yeah.
been? And
Yeah.
the things that I was thinking about and dreading beforehand, like come back, you know, but they were
Yeah.
gone while I was in there or something like that. I don't know.
And I wonder,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like studies or
yeah.
ideas about like, not to take it down a dark road, but there's a book I want to read about how casino games are designed, about how video
Right.
casino games are designed.
Right.
But that's far more about just like
And
cause and effect and like reward.
yeah,
Like,
and vampire survivors, right?
sure.
Vampires, right?
Yeah,
That-
much the
that
same.
Person used to make like slot machines.
I believe it.
And
given
then
how
made-
that game's designed.
and
yeah.
then made that game based with
Yeah.
the same sort of like logic, and it's like, yeah, it's a fucking slot machine,
dude.
and
It's
the
just-
numbers are going up, and I'm getting rewards. So much
things
shit.
are definitely happening.
Yeah.
Even as I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a patience game through and through. I feel like I might keep coming back to this notion of patience games. Look, I love Mario. I love Zelda. I love to move around and go bonk, bonk, bonk. Unreal Tournament, Fortnite. But these patience games, there's something special about them.
So what's your big conclusion here?
Oh,
You built it up.
I basically already said it.
Oh, okay.
Which is that like it's a game design that is like so elegant and simple that like you can like actually experience a meditative practice with it.
Yes.
You can like you can activate the experience of like quieting the busy mind.
Yes, totally.
Over the course of the game design, which like
really
shocked me.
counterintuitive, but like the harder and more you have to like lock in, the more calm your thinking part of your brain is in a weird way, because it's just everything's just preoccupied.
Yeah.
And
if a game is like just firing information at you constantly, it's like you don't really have to lock in. You just have to like react. There's something about like the base state of the human mind, the busy monkey mind, is a reactive state.
Totally.
It's a state of just like, I'm distracted and like, what do I think about this? Oh, what do I think about this? What does that remind me of? Oh, that connects to that and that, like it's so for a game like, I've basically already said the idea though, that like this game lets you experience Zen.
Love that. Beautiful.
So dear listener, I implore you, in a quiet moment, in an intimate moment, in bed, on the toilet, on a train, in a car, play ball. Move past your likely immediate notions of simplicity and boredom. Indeed, move past yourself and achieve Zen with ball. And you can do so quite simply thanks to the wonders of the World Wide Web. We'll link in the show notes to a 3D simulation of the ball Game & Watch, produced by someone named Itizso, and hosted on itch.io. It's playable in a web browser. And if you want to play it in the hand, which I recommend, you can buy the original device for like $500 on eBay, or because it's a 45-year-old piece of gaming history.
Right.
But Nintendo also still makes the Mario one, and you can get it for like $50. Or if you have a 3DS, hit me up in the Discord for more info. Or a regular DS. Just hit me up in the Discord for more info.
Sean's got the goods.
Wink. That's ball.
That's ball, and that's new cool, and that's wide flank, baby.
How do we end these? How do we end show?
Good night.
Thanks and
good night.
Good luck. Good night and good luck.
And have fun and good night.
Happy.
New Year.
Gaming. Wait.
Gaming. Wide flank. Happy gaming.
The call and response was good luck.
Have fun.
But that's for a different show.
So this one is Gaming. New.
Cool.
Amending.
Yeah,
Bye.
That's gotta be the end.